Um, so quick update on the Placer.ai discussion. It seemed like we had a pretty good discussion last time. There was some interest, but it was potentially dependent on pricing. We haven't gotten that yet. We have a follow-up call scheduled with them with just a few people for this Friday, so we can get more details and share them around once we have them. And we will figure out levels of interest and potential next steps from there. So we are changing gears a bit today. We have invited Nicole Levesque from the Department of Education. And Nicole, I didn't speak to you recently, but we chatted, probably about a year ago, I think, about potentially joining. So good to see you in person, or I guess electronically. And thanks so much for keeping with us and for being willing to join this morning.
Absolutely.
So I think Nicole's here to talk about the Work is Learning program and a little bit more about what she and her team does. So Nicole, with that, I think I can hand things over to you.
Sure. So hi, I'm Nicola Vake. I work with the New Hampshire Department of Education Bureau of Career Development as the statewide work-based learning coordinator. So really what that means is I work with all the high schools in the state of New Hampshire and all the career and technical education centers to connect education and industry. And we do have some really great initiatives at a state level that we're trying to get the word out about. So we're always looking for internships or work-based learning opportunities for students. And we have started to really think about how we can incentivize employers to work with students and to tap into that future workforce pipeline. So the Work as Learning program is a wage match program available to employers that are taking on high school students as paid interns. So the wage match is 50% of wages paid to students, up to $15 an hour. So meaning that if you're paying a student $15 an hour, we would reimburse $7.50 an hour back with a maximum reimbursement of $3,600. So that ends up being about 480 hours of interning. And we're really looking to support up to 1,000 students with this program. So that's one of the initiatives that we have. And then the other one that I wanted to mention today was we also have a CTE, which is our career and technical education programs, tax credit available to employers as well that are donating time, money, or equipment to our career and technical education centers. And that credit is available through June 30th, 2026. So it's 50% tax credit for the salary of the student and of anyone supervising the student, 100% for equipment donated to CTE centers, and then 50% for any kind of money donation as well, or time donation. So I just had a question in the chat. Are you referring to the Work is Learning program? You want to know when that kind of rolled out?
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, sure. So that program we had brought to Governor and Council back in December of 2021, and it passed then. So we just started really rolling it out in January of 2022, and we're really kind of taking off with it now. So we've currently had about 25 students go through the program, and like I said, we're trying to get up to 1,000 students. So this program, Work is Learning, is funded through COVID relief funds and is going to last through September 30th of 2024. That's really business profit taxes. So Warren, yes, it would be business profit taxes.
Not business enterprise tax, not business enterprise tax.
Yeah, business profit. And I can send out too, just so, because I know I just threw a lot of information at you. I do have some one-pagers about both these programs that I can send out to Natalie at the end of this as well, so that she can share it out with you all. So the other thing too, obviously, if we have these incentive programs, we're really looking to work with businesses that will offer internship programs to students as well. So we're trying to build up some relationships with businesses all across the state that is interested in hosting these internships to students. Warren?
Sorry, I have a lot of questions.
That's okay. I love questions.
So the internship, is there a model that you follow? In other words, so let's say a student, a restaurateur wants to take advantage of this program. Do they have to do something specific, or can they just go into the workflow, try to learn the operation? I mean, are there specifications as to the type of jobs they need to do? Do they need to learn management or cooking skills, et cetera?
I mean, really what we're looking for. So if a school is working with an employer, they're going to want to know, it's kind of that mutually beneficial relationship, right? The student's there to learn and the employer is there to hopefully strengthen their workforce in the long run as well. So the student might have some specific job goals, but the big thing is that everyone starts off somewhere. So if what you're offering in a restaurant business, as the example you used, is starting in one spot, and maybe they can do an internship in the kitchen and then work up to like a management position eventually, that's obviously ideal. But the good thing is we typically with the schools will work with what the business is able to offer and kind of say, hey, if you're offering this internship, we can try to plug in a student that would be appropriate for what you're offering. So a school is going to want to know what the student's going to be doing, what their schedule is going to be, stuff like that. And then from there, they'll work with the student to determine how they're going to, because really we're trying to help students earn credit through these internships as well. So they're going to look at what you're offering for tasks and say, how can the student glean credit from this? And that's not something you have to worry about. They're just going to want to know what the internship's going to look like.
And is this part of the Away To partnership that
Yes.
the state has? And is the relationship from the employer with the state or with the school?
It would be, so the way it works is that, so Away To, I'll start there. They're kind of how we're doing the reimbursement back to employers. So if an employer wants to be a work as learning business, we would connect them with Away To, and I can tell everyone what that is as well. And they would sign up, they would set up an account with Away To so that when they have a student that's interning, they would then send pay stubs to Away To, and then Away To would then submit your reimbursement back to you by looking at those pay stubs to see what the student has earned. That being said, you can also put your job or internship opportunities into Away To, because we do have a work-based learning database embedded in that tool so that students can directly apply to internship opportunities. And just for those of you that don't know what Away To is, we've contracted with Away To for multiple projects. One of them being that there is a Drive to 65 Act out there that you might be familiar with that mandates that students entering 9th grade take some kind of vocational assessment. So because we're mandating that, we contracted with Away To offer that assessment to students. And we keep kind of expanding on that tool. So not only does it have that vocational assessment for students to take, it has career pathway planning tools built into it, including a work-based learning database for students that are looking to gain experience by participating in an internship. So Away To is also going to be administering and marketing our work as learning program so that if employers want to take advantage of the reimbursement, we would connect you with Away To receive that reimbursement. And as far as your other question, you would work more directly with the schools than the state, because the schools have local control over how their internships are run. So that's how that would work. Any other questions? Yes, I see your hand, but I see our Comstock, so I don't know.
That's
your name.
okay. R. You can call me R for sure. Is there a landing? I have two questions. One is cheeky and flippant, but the first one isn't. Is there a landing page, or where can we send businesses?
So yes,
Is there a point of?
yeah, I'll send out the one pager I'm sending out to you does have a landing page that businesses can go to,
Okay.
but you can also send them my way. So if it's easier for you to
Oh,
make
okay.
a connection via email, I'm happy to respond to them and connect them directly to a way to for that sign up.
Okay. And now the silly question. Forgive me, everyone. Nicole, are you related to Neil Levesque?
I am not, no, but it's funny. I hear it all the time. There's like these clans of Levakes across the state of New Hampshire. So my husband grew up in Laconia, and there's a bunch of Levesques that way, and there's some in Concord. So it's not a question I haven't heard before. So age range for internships, Paul Deshane asked that. So basically what we're looking at is we follow the New Hampshire child labor laws. So if you have, for instance, Market Basket, maybe they want to run an internship and they do allow 14, 15-year-olds to work there, then you could have a 14, 15-year-old in an internship. So you could have 16, 17, 18, anything up from there, as long as they're in high school and you're following the child labor laws in the state of New Hampshire, which they follow federal guidelines for child labor laws.
And then are there particular sectors you're looking to promote with this, or that would be eligible, or is this really anything, as long as a student is able to credibly make the case that this is valuable to me, I'm interested in this?
Basically, yeah. Right now, the way we have qualified employer defined is that it's any employer that's registered with the Secretary of State office and in good standing. However, we are making an amendment currently to the contract to add government entities and municipalities to that definition, because they do not have to register with the Secretary of State office. So please be on the lookout for that. We're going to be making that amendment, but for right now, it's any business that's registered with the Secretary of State.
Okay. Are there, I guess, do you have any sense of, are there a lot of people looking to make connections into certain fields, or is there a lot of interest in something that you're not seeing internships available in?
Yeah, I mean, you probably heard this before, but I mean, really, we would love to have more connections to the STEM fields. So manufacturing, construction, healthcare. We really want to see some more, I guess, connections that way. But really, they're geared towards everyone. We do, like I said earlier, work really closely with our career and technical education centers. Our office actually manages Perkins 5 funding, which is the funding that those centers receive. So we're always, those fields are really, those centers are really focused on like healthcare, manufacturing, construction, IT, and I always forget one. Yep, it's not coming to me right now. But the 5, major sectors and hospitality. So we're always looking for connections to those fields, especially because as students come out of those CTE programs, we want to be able to connect them back to their community to do some kind of internship program. And I'm sorry, are you all familiar with what career and technical education is? Is there anyone that I need to clarify what that is? Good.
Not seeing any hands.
Yes, I never want to assume, so. Great, any other questions? Well, thank you very much, guys, for letting me come and talk about these great programs today. I really hope that we can get the word out there and have more businesses and students participate in them. So if you have any questions that you think of, I'll put my email in the chat, and I'll be sending out those one-pagers as well as follow-up. So please be on the lookout for those. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you.
All right, so that was most of our scheduled agenda stuff. Anybody have anything else that has come across your desk, has popped up in the news that you want to chat about? Paul?
Yeah, I wanted to discuss about the email that at least I received back in August 15th regarding the New England Foundation for the Arts Cedar Creative Ground Directory that they're establishing. And I think I had a brief email conversation with you, James, about does it differ at all from the work that the Stratford Regional Planning did, or what does anyone know about that program and what it's involved in?
Yeah, I think Ginny's probably the one to answer that question.
Paul, I'm director of the New Hampshire State Council on the Arts. The Creative Ground platform is a directory of New England-based individual artists of all disciplines and arts and cultural businesses, both nonprofit and for-profit. And they recently updated the platform, and it is rolling out officially on September 15th. And it has the potential to be a really good tool in tracking the creative economy. The key to it will be getting people and businesses and organizations onto the platform to create profiles. So it can be searched in multiple ways. All of our artists, our juried artist rosters live on that platform. And we are working diligently to try to get all kinds of creative businesses registered on the platform. It does have a tremendous potential to be able to help with asset mapping. So what Stratford's been doing with the arts and culture asset mapping, this tool could be very, very helpful in that. And I think actually the two things could work very well together, that as you're mapping cultural assets in your service area, you can, suggest to those folks that they create profiles, and you can also search to be able to grab assets from Creative Ground. So I think it has really, really good potential. And the person who's going to present on September 20th is NEFA's data geek research. She handles all the research, and she speaks fluent economic development. So she's the perfect person to present this tool in a way that I think the members of the Cedars will be able to understand and grasp. For many of us like me, it's a directory, but I think the way they have built this reimagined Creative Ground, I think it has much more potential as a creative economy tool than it did previously. So I hope that helps.
Well, I was only exposed to what Stratford did here on this forum, so I don't know comparing and contrasting. It sounded like they had a little bit more wider, historical places and other venues of interest. Yours seems to be a little more specialized, but statewide, or New England wide, if I understand it correctly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think they're looking at arts and culture across the board. So, I think we're working right now. Actually, the state library has sent out an email to all of the state's libraries to ask them to create profiles. We're hoping that historical resources will do that as well. So we're reaching out, to the larger arts and cultural landscape to try to get folks to create profiles. And they don't have to be super extensive profiles, but really trying to get them listed.
Yeah, and I think, Paul, you had asked in your email to me, whether it was duplicative, how it would impact the work that we're doing. I think I would need to you see a little bit more and see the presentation to really understand that. But I think we also, we launched it at our annual meeting, I think at the end of June. And we pitched it to all of you. We sent it around to like our Arts Commission contacts. And then according to our GIS planner, we have not seen a whole lot of submissions from people. So, the real issue for us on this one, we can do the viewer, but right now we don't have the funding to go and actually generate and input that data ourselves. And I think particularly for the business oriented ones, your art supply stores or your artists that are trying to actually create and reach a market, those are people who, one, may or may not have a whole lot of time to go and do all of these different platforms, but two, those are the ones that you're going to change periodically, you're going to need some maintenance, and that we would probably need help keeping up. So I would be interested to see if there's an easy way that we could, do like an overlay and just batch download and say, here's everything that's on this service. I think if we had to individually code and look up, all right, give us Dover and we're going to add a pin and copy the stuff over, that data entry is going to take longer than we probably have time for at the moment. So, I think it could definitely be an opportunity to collaborate if there's that functionality and that willingness. I think that to a certain extent, there may be different audiences too. And this might speak to our map. Maybe a little bit is trying to do, a little bit of everything. Because I think we initially were thinking, all right, this is a tool for people to find out what's in their community. Whether that's the murals on the walls or the historic markers or some of the businesses where you can have these cultural experiences. If people are going someplace specifically looking for businesses, hey, what activity can I do, or where can I buy some art? I'm not sure that our platform was going to ever really be the best place for them to find that information. And again, this might be a better niche way of focusing and reaching that audience directly.
Yeah. We've talked about, and and I see Mikhail on the call. We've talked about some sort of a statewide mapping, and one of the things that we've been harping on since many years ago now, the Legislative Commission on the Creative Economy, is that the state of New Hampshire does not require NAICS codes on business registrations, and the Secretary of State doesn't require them, or with nonprofits, they don't require NTEE codes either. And this is a real problem because there's no easy way to search for creative businesses. And in fact, during the Main Street grant program, I, by hand, tried to cull out the creative economy businesses that received Main Street funds. And the only way I could do that was searching the spreadsheet for keywords like dance or theater or art, or and it was a nightmare, and I've still got that list, and I know it's not complete because very often creative businesses don't have a name that has an art form in it. But this is an ongoing problem. And one of the recommendations from that commission was that the state would start to require these things. And, and so Creative Ground is trying to do this too, to identify what codes, you know, when people create a profile, they're kind of telling the platform what kind of a business they are, to try to link that business with a NAICS code. But this is a big issue, and Mikhail, I'm happy to talk with you about it at greater length if you want to.
Please, thank you.
Joe?
Is it all right to change topic?
I guess before we do, so that all Cedar call is set for Tuesday the 20th, which would be the same day as our next call. And it's set, I think, from 11 to noon. So if we kept our call, that would be 2 hours for all of you in a 3-hour period in the morning. So would we prefer to cancel this call or keep it short? I think we might have a Placer update, but that's just based on the results of a pricing call. But that's also something I could send out over email if we would rather not have this call and that call on the same day. Or if people aren't sure that they're going to be able to make it at 11, we can run this call as well, and I'll just double dip. Thoughts one way or the other? Nobody's chiming in. Who would join us? Hands up on the screen or raise hand function or something if we ran this call on that Tuesday.
Are you asking about 11 o'clock on Tuesday the 20th?
So that is the all Cedar call that's going to happen no matter what. So I guess I'm asking, is there value to me also running this call that morning?
I was going to suggest maybe we start, if there's a few updates, we start this phone call at 10:30. Go 10:30 to 11, or start it at 10 to 10:30, something like that, so that we still kind of keep everybody updated on this, and then go into the next meeting instead of 9 to 10 and then 11 to whatever it is, 11 to noon.
Okay.
Just adjust our meeting time.
Yeah, we can see what we've got. So I'll shoot for either like a 30-minute or a 15-minute call that if people are available to jump on beforehand, we'll do that. And then at 11, we can switch over. Okay. So Joe, you wanted to switch gears?
Yes, if I could. I just wanted to mention that on the latest newsletter that from SRPC on the economic development section, it talked about a program ending on August 31st, which was to provide free technical support to small businesses in website development, marketing, advertising, graphic design, audiovisual support, general IT services, and cybersecurity. And I just wondered about coordinating that offering with the Small Business Development Council. When I made a change to be a small business from working with a larger company, I started with SBDC, the Small Business Development Council, who has a lot of good resources and helps small businesses get off the ground. And it would have been good to know that this program from SRPC was available in terms of that help with those services. So I guess I would just suggest somehow that maybe next year, if it comes up again, it be coordinated with the SBDC, if that's possible.
So
At least let them know about it.
Sure. So that program was something that we did with our CARES Act funding. And we received that funding in 2020. It was good for 3 years. So it's, coming up on the end of that in the next couple of weeks. So our grant is expiring. And that was one of our sort of pass-through things. We hired consultants in those fields to be on retainer for 1 to 3 hours of free technical assistance. If that was something, I think we were really pushing it more and more when we were ramping it up. So if that was something that we sort of didn't keep up the advertisement once we had people, sign up for their initial run, I guess that could potentially be on us. But yeah, I think we also, for that program, exceeded what we initially planned to put towards it. And because of the demand we saw, we tried to free up a little bit of extra money for a second run. So, we, I think, are just about tapped out in terms of the resources that we were able to throw at that program. It was originally sort of conceived as kind of a stopgap. How do we help businesses, make the quick transition to, is there something I can do over Zoom? I have no idea how Zoom works. Can I just talk to somebody for a few hours and feel comfortable enough that, I could, run a business this way or make changes to my website or things like that. I think we can definitely, for what programs are available, we can do our best to make sure that it's clear what resources are out there now. I think SBA is also offering some sort of programming that I've seen in a few emails that are not immediately to hand. So that's sort of the situation and how things have evolved. We don't anticipate it coming back unless there is, another very specific grant opportunity to do something like that with.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
And I would just add to that, James, that the way that program was promoted is we sent the information out to all of the businesses in good standing that we got from the list of the Secretary of State, but that hasn't been updated for a while, so it's very possible that a few businesses were missed if they weren't in that email.
Natalie, you've got a crazy echo. But if people miss that, we have been communicating with, if people remember all the way back to 2020, we pulled the businesses in good standing list with email addresses for the entire state, and then helped to, distribute that to the other planning commissions, to many of you. We have sort of been operating with the same list that we originally pulled. So a lot of our communications, unless people have somehow gotten our constant contact and found another way to get into that, are essentially with businesses effective, I think it was March 30th of 2020. So we are planning to update that list at some point and soon and figure out how to migrate that into constant contact and take care of that. But that's something where, again, we haven't done a whole lot of this direct to business communication in the past. We weren't really familiar with how frequently we should be pulling this list and updating it, so that we weren't making a million requests to the Secretary of State. And as with many programs, if that meant we were talking to people who were in business 6 months, a year, 18 months ago, some of those new folks are going to get missed. Any other comments, questions on that? We are hoping to have some testimonials about the program and how it worked that we'll be putting up on our website. So if there is an opportunity to do it again in the future, either by us or by others, that's definitely information that we can share if it's useful.
I don't know if you can see me. I was just going to jump in a little. I don't know exactly how extensive the program was. It sounds like it was a little more extensive than what REDC offers, but REDC does have a staff person who does help with website, logo design, in like promotion material and things like that. We don't get into the cybersecurity aspect, but if there are, it's for our region, which obviously isn't quite the same as Stratford and clients and things like that. But I can always have, if anyone wants to know more information about that, I can connect them with our graphic designer who's in charge of those programs.
Yeah, and I think for the cyber program specifically, I think I had spoken with Charlie at Cooperative Extension about an application they were putting together to try and get some cybersecurity specific funding and support and get a center spun up. Charlie, do you have any status updates on that?
Yeah, I know that there's a proposal in the works, but I haven't heard anything as to whether we've received it. So I'll hopefully soon though. So
yeah, I think I gave you guys a letter probably around like June, July. So
yeah.
SBDC has a cybersecurity program whereby cybersecurity experts work. And by the way, Joe, SBDC is Small Business Development Center, not council. Yeah, and that's fine. Just an FYI. So we've got, I'll drop it into the chat. We've got cybersecurity program whereby our clients who work with us also get access to cybersecurity professional resources at no charge to the clients. Also, Jennifer, Christophe retired. I've known Chris since our kids went to daycare together. So
yeah,
35 years or so. He retired. He just did a wonderful job for you guys. Yeah, he worked for me for 9 years actually before you guys. And are you replacing him?
So my understanding, I mean, right now we have a Carrie Sales, who's also a business advisor, who's been on board for about 2 years now, and we have a part-time person, and so with Kit, which works on the Kiva stuff. But it's my understanding that yes, they are either in the process or will be interviewing. I am not in the office. I work from home, so I don't get the day-to-day stuff, that kind of thing. But it is my understanding, yes, that they will hire someone to take that position. Obviously, we can never replace Chris because he was one of a kind and such a resource and an amazing individual. We will miss him greatly.
But just a follow-up question to you, Jennifer, as well. Your website and graphic design person, do they have to be existing clients of yours?
So not necessarily, no. We do take on non-loan clients that she works with as well. And they would go through the process. And again, since I'm not part of the day-to-day, I would refer you probably to either her directly or Augustin, who's our TA coordinator, and go through the process. But I know that if they're within our territory and they come in for counseling, it's basically TA, but it's like instead of being like the business plan type of TA, it's a graphic design type of TA situation. And they can go through that process without ever getting a loan or anything like that from our EDC.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
I'm seeing a few other things popping into the chat. Update from Mikhail, the Cedar funding contract has officially been submitted to Governor and Council. So that would appear on, are they meeting this week? So it would be the 21st.
I'm getting confirmation on the date.
Okay.
Yeah, don't have confirmation on the date yet, but they were submitted, all four.
Okay. So
And I will
think-
let you know as soon as possible. Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yep.
I think that's something that, if when that is approved, we will probably need to hit the ground running on. Because we're gonna have a very short window to, dust off that scope of work and get it in place. So why don't we plan on, if not a brief update sooner in that brief call in 2 weeks, sitting down and talking through what we're going to do with that on
Okay.
the following call, which I think would be October 4th. We had some people write out a scope of work for some marketing, that would be more outreach to businesses. How do we hire in this economy? How do we, make ourselves attractive to potential employees? I think that in particular, we're going to need some support and, some quick work, because we have to release an RFP for those services, and go from there.
Yeah, I would actually say it might be a good idea for us to just touch base with the group that worked on that marketing piece between now and our meeting 2 weeks from now, and we can start drafting up the RFP language for that consultant. That way, once the contract is approved by GNC, we can post the RFP right away.
So I know Nancy Carmer was on that small
Yeah.
group.
I think-
Sean and Warren, were you the other two?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Cool.
so I can definitely touch base with the two of you.
Okay.
Great.
Anybody else super interested?
This was a long time ago.
I'm not seeing any hands. It was, I think we were chatting with you guys in like January, February.
Yeah.
But sometimes things take a little bit of time to come through.
Yeah, no, this is great. Good
This is
timing.
great. I'm, Cedar to me was, I wasn't sure what happened to it. It's been so long, but I'm glad we're talking about it again.
Okay, and then speaking of things that we were doing, a year or longer ago, Charlie, you mentioned that, the blue economy proposal that we put together almost a year ago at this point, I think we
Yeah, it
submitted
was a year
in
ago,
October.
right? Yeah.
We didn't get the original funding, but many of those projects are still very much alive. For the rest of you, we've had several chunks of that Charlie and Cooperative Extension and other UNH programs are doing. They are still in the our comprehensive economic development strategy as projects, because they're definitely still viable and in the works, and seem to have enough interest that maybe they'll build momentum, they'll step back, but there's still an opportunity. So Charlie, I think you had said a few of those are raising their heads again.
Yeah, I can give I'll just give a quick update. So you may have seen also that Manchester did receive the funding to do biofabrication. So Dean came in, collaborated with UNH Manchester, and so they have, I think they got $45 million to do some work around biofabrication. So it's good news that New Hampshire did get that funding. We have a couple of opportunities. We did get a grant. I'm not involved with it, but around marine renewable energy. So we have some turbine development, and they're developing a marine renewable energy center in the Seacoast. And I think that was probably a $20 million grant that's just kicking up. Some of the pieces of the blue economy proposal that we wrote, they're resurfacing. MITRE Corporation and I can't remember, UMass have reached out to us about partnering. When we wrote the blue economy proposal, we had a lot of things crammed into it. This would be really focused on maybe one area that is a particular niche to us. It's 160 million that we're shooting for across, I think, 4 states. but it would begin with an engagement process. So we would certainly work around engaging different stakeholders to understand what the constraints are and where the opportunities are. And this is something that, James, I think I had reached out to you. We're still in the early stages of pulling together the proposal, but I would love to engage the RPCs, REDC, and other institutions. So we'll have a conversation soon. So
sounds great. Joe?
Can I mention one other thing? I don't know if people saw the news or are focusing at all on this chip manufacturing, but the chip manufacturing bill that was passed is going to provide a lot of money for chip manufacturers, and there are a number of them in New Hampshire. So as an economic development piece, that is going to be a growing industry that we might all want to take a look at and pay some attention to.
Can I also just jump in with a little reminder or some news for folks? I just want to share that New Hampshire's Offshore Wind Summit is coming up. It's the first time the state's held a summit for offshore wind. It's going to be here in Portsmouth on the September 27th from 8:30. It's a full day, 8:30 to 4, to be at the Sheridan. We're planning to have opening remarks from the governor himself and a lot of other great speakers and panels. So I'll drop the link in the chat. If you're interested in attending, please join us. It's a free event. So if your community is interested in offshore wind or you know businesses that are interested in offshore wind, it'd be great to have them there.
Great. Any other news or updates people want to share? I've got one more really important one. The domain name on Robin's website is changing. So if you need to email her, make sure you get the new one.
That is so true. I completely forgot. Somersworthnh.gov. That's us now. Thank you, James.
No problem. All right, going once, going twice.
My name's Emerson. I'm with the Falls Chamber of Commerce. We are having our first annual business resource fair on October 5th at the Berwick Town Hall from 4 to 7. So if anybody wants to spread the word on that, that'd be great. It's open to all businesses in the Seacoast area if they would like to come. We have people from the SBA coming and other organizations throughout the state and Maine. So it's going to be a great event. Hope to see you there.
Great. Emerson, would you be able to send that link around? You could just send it to me and we'll get it to the group.
Yep, I will send that.
Perfect. All right, last call. Not seeing anybody. So thank you all for joining. Enjoy your kind of rainy, gloomy Tuesday and have a good week.
Rain. It's good rain.
Yeah, we need the rain.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks all.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.